That was the movie Elvis that you just saw a clip of. That's Baz Luhrmann's interpretation of Elvis and what everyone is seeing recently. But who is Elvis? The king of rock and roll, the guy from Tupelo, Mississippi, who really shook the world, literally. Well, no one's going to know better than who the real guy was than his brother, Billy Stanley. Now, Billy Stanley has written a book called The Faith of Elvis, something perhaps we don't know much about the king of rock. Billy, nice to have you with us.
Thank you. Let's clear this up because a lot of people will say, brother, he had one, but he passed away. I'm his stepbrother.
Stepbrother, yeah. Well, I guess he called you brother. He treated you like a brother. You and your two other brothers, right? You had Billy, Rick, and David, the three of you.
Yes, sir.
And I didn't know that Elvis was a twin.
Yes. There was Jesse Guerin that passed. He was stillborn before Elvis.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah, that was a shocking revelation when I was doing a little bit of research on Elvis. But and I've been a fan, of course, forever and ever because I was born in the 50s, and of course Elvis Presley was the king in the 50s. Right. So tell me what it was like to be his stepbrother.
Ooh.
That's a big question, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see Elvis the way everybody else did. I mean, I grew up. I mean, when I came into Elvis's life, I was 7 years old. I didn't know who Elvis was. I was a military brat. And so when I first met him, he was just this neat guy, I thought. I mean, it was, wow. I mean, the night I met him, we just got to Graceland and he was shooting pool. So I guess he made the shot because we heard a boy say 8 ball in the corner pocket and everybody broke out into applause. And then the crowd just kind of parted and there was this guy standing at the end of the table and I thought, oh, he's kind of neat. And he walks over and looks down and said, Daddy, what do we got here? He said, these are your new little brothers, Elvis. He reached down and picks all 3 of us up at the same time and said, Daddy, I always wanted a little brother. Now I got 3.
And then at some point you realized you're dealing with the international Superman, pretty much. I mean, everybody in the world knew who Elvis Presley was. When did that realization come into your mind?
Well, it's funny. Like I said, we didn't know who he was. And so one day I was at school and he picked me up in the pink Cadillac. And so I walk out and I see this large group of people around the car and I'm going, I finally get to the car and he opens the door. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm signing autographs. I said, what's that? He said, you write your name on a piece of paper. I went, oh. So he said, would any of you kids like to have my little brother's autograph? And there was all these little girls squeal, yes, yes. So I reach in my book bag and I pull out a red crayon and write Billy on it. In 1969, I saw him perform live. And I was kind of like the Beatles, the Who, and everything else. I was 16 years old. I was wanting to be in Woodstock. But then I'm kind of looking around the audience going, well, because I thought there's just going to be nothing but old people there. And I looked around, I saw all these celebrities and young people and stuff. And when he came out on stage, I think my brothers and I, we took one breath each. My jaw hit the floor. I'm looking at them going, I've never seen this guy before. Wow. And this was Vegas 1969 when he came back doing these live performances. And I went, wow, now I know why they call him the king.
Yeah. We saw a little bit of the spirituality in the movie Elvis, but very stylized and very cool, right. And how he got into the whole movement. But there's a softer, warmer, more, I think it's more heartfelt part of Elvis that many of us didn't see that you did see.
Well, the thing about Elvis, and I think that the fans picked up on, is the love he had for everybody, not just certain people. He loved the world and everybody in it. And I mean, that was his belief. I mean, it says that that's what we're supposed to do, is we're supposed to treat each other as brothers and sisters. And that's what he actually did. He took that to heart, and he had the faith of a child in what he read in the Bible, and that's the way he did. I mean, his generosity is world famous for him giving cars and money and stuff like that to people he didn't even know.
Yeah. It's
because it says in the Bible, the Lord loves a generous giver, and that's what he did. The most generous giver I ever met in my life.
And I do remember those 69 concerts.
Yeah.
When he sang Glory, Glory, Hallelujah, there was a
American Trilogy.
I got chills. I get chills when I think about him singing that. It was so good and so powerful.
He was a patriot too. I mean, God and country. That's what his beliefs were. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think about him fondly because, of course, we're probably close to the same age, and we grew up with all of that around us, and the counterculture that was happening, and he was very confused by all that. Yet his faith guided his life in a way that kept him going. It must have been somewhat disappointing to you when his life started to take a turn in the wrong way. How did your family deal with that?
Well, a lot of big misconception is, people thought we just kind of sat back and watched it. And no, we didn't. I think everybody that was around us at least mentioned it to him. Mm-hmm. Now, I was only in my 20s, and everything up until that point, when Elvis told me something, was true. And when he said, "I know what I'm doing," who am I to argue with this guy? Yeah. He told me he said, "Billy, do you think I got here by listening to everybody in the world?" No, I stayed true to myself, and that's, that's the tragedy of the story, of his life. But, there's more to his life than I don't think about his death. I think about what he did in his life and what he tried to do to make our world a better place to live. We're here to help each other, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what this book is about too.
Well, you and I will agree that he left us way too soon.
Yes, he did.
And that we miss him terribly, and we miss his talent and his giving heart and everything that was Elvis. How lucky for you and your brothers to have been part of his life. And thank you for sharing your testimony of Elvis Presley through this book, The Faith of Elvis, a story only a brother can tell. Billy Stanley, thank you so much for being with us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.